What belief did you have to unlearn to build the life you have now?
I think that like the biggest thing that I have, well, having to unlearn it, once again, it's a constant process for me in my 20s, is just like I'm not enough was a big thing I always said to myself. I'm not enough, I'm not good enough, I'm not ready yet. I said that a lot, throughout my sales career. There's a lot of people saying you should have started your own thing sooner, and I didn't. Didn't believe I was worthy of the money. I thought it was this like kind of a neuro-emotional thing that was meant for certain people, but maybe not for me. I sometimes blame the fact that my upbringing was the reason that I couldn't make the money and just didn't take responsibility, like on a mental level. That was the main things that I had to unlearn, was just realizing that it is up to me. I can do it. I think being around a woman that supports you and your journey and actually knows where you're going, sees the potential, believes in you, and helps you, overcome your own doubts and, gives you that faith is the most powerful thing. Choosing the right woman to be with and have as your partner is more important than most things. I would say most people think it's the vehicle, the business model, and yes, those things are important, but choosing the right woman that supports you and helps you grow, that's more powerful than being single, I find, and being an entrepreneur. For me, that was probably one of the best decisions I made in my entrepreneurship journey, was marrying my wife, right? Like,
Amazing.
I made that a business decision as well as a personal decision. I fundamentally believe that there are truths to what this life is about, where we're going, where we came from, why we're here. Those are the main questions that, like, forget everything else, the business is success, just figure out those things: where we're going, where we came from, why we are here. If you get you want to get the answer to those three questions, because if you do, you will get peace and fulfillment from your life, no matter how hard things will get.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to Brainwashed To Be Broke series. Today's guest is someone who grew up in a council estate in the UK. No handout, no shortcuts, but always knew he'd be the one to create his own path to wealth. He's now a sales pro with a deep commitment to personal growth, investing over 45K into himself and walking a journey guided by faith, discipline, and self-mastery. He's been through door-to-door sales, team leadership, and deep inner work. And after converting to Islam nearly 4 years ago, that faith became the compass behind everything he does. Really excited to have him here. Welcome to the show, Taylor O'Hara. What's up, dude?
Thanks for having me, man. Good to be here. But see what it's all about. See what path you're going to take me on. Let's see.
Thank you so much for being here. It's just honor to have you here. Um, all right, I have prepared questions to dive into, but before we go to those questions, I would love to hear, and all the listeners would love to hear, where you're coming from. How do you get into entrepreneurship? Because you are in pretty young age, and that's pretty rare for like to actually figure these things out. And yeah, so how did it all started for you?
Yeah, so I'm very much in my family, being from the UK. I grew up in Dover, Kent, which is, if any of you know what the UK is like, especially around the southeast, Dover's where like a lot of immigration stuff was happening. So I was in a place that was pretty rough at times, to be honest. And I come from a family of everyone's doing 9 to 5s. They encourage university, and that's kind of success, I guess, somewhat to a degree. But at the end of the day, my parents were very good with me, and they realized I wanted something totally different. So the route of like, if initially I wanted to be a professional footballer, that was like my big dream. I'm a big Manchester United fan, so I definitely had the talent to be a pro footballer, but the mindset was always the thing that held me back, and so I didn't progress as far as I wanted to. Got into sales, and that's where I really started to develop the mindset, the discipline, around kind of like 19 years old. But beforehand, I tried multiple different businesses like network marketing. I was absolutely horrible at that. I tried doing an Instagram content page, like motivation mindset page, back in like 2017. Did it for 3 weeks, got some viral posts, but I just kind of gave it up because I wanted to do something different. So I was very much the shiny object guy before the sales world. And then the reason I got into sales was because of Dan Locke. We all know probably
Ooh.
Dan Locke, who runs the Wealth Dragons, and he did some amazing YouTube series on sales mindset. And as much as there's a lot of bad things you could say about Dan, like overall, I think what he teaches and some of his YouTube clips were so valuable, and they helped me a hell of a lot. The boss in the Bentley videos; those were like the big ones that I loved. And yeah, like after that, that got me into door-to-door sales. And yeah, being in the UK, like definitely experienced loads of different things across different regions of the UK, and became a sales leader. Was leading kind of outbound departments as well within that side, like cold calling as well as door-to-door. Learned a ton of lessons. I made like 28K in a year and a half. I made hardly anything.
Is that actually common in UK to do door to door? Because I know that is common in US, but in UK I haven't really, even I live in England for 7 years. I never saw somebody going door to doors actually here.
Oh, so I mean, it is quite common. I mean, where you are in Cumbria, I don't think you'll see it too much, but like some of the busy cities, towns, like yeah, I mean, it is fairly common, but
Mhm.
most people don't last or stick it out very long because
Mhm.
it's very harsh and it's tough, right?
Yeah.
So Yeah, no, I mean, it's overall it's pretty popular, but yeah, like the US, it's different gravy out there.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. So basically, how did you actually get into going to business? Like it was already like a passion of yours, since you've been in the school, or how did you get into that?
No, so I mean, I initially, I just knew I wanted to make more money and do more than everyone else. I didn't know if it was entrepreneurship being the right route. Like I was very good at school. I got pretty good grades. And I wasn't say I was the smartest tool in the box, but I always worked hard to get good
Hmm.
grades. Like I always would do more than others, and that's what helped me to get good grades at school. So honestly, I just wanted a higher paying job, like getting into that kind of six-figure range. Was something that I always wanted, but I didn't know that entrepreneurship was the route. All that Dan Locke told me is that if you want to be a business owner, you have to be good at sales.
Hmm.
And because of how bad I was at sales and some of my mindset and beliefs were really not, not in whack, I had to just kind of go through that time and learn. And I read so many books, taken so many courses, taken a lot of mentorships. I've had to really unlearn a lot of stuff,
Hmm.
based on the way I've been brought up and just even for myself, the way that I do things had to change a lot. So how I got into it was through the sales environment because it was mainly sales and an entrepreneurship journey, kind of a program, I guess, as I was learning a lot about it. And then the high ticket space was an extension of that, but it's
Hmm.
just a different space compared to door. So that allowed me to kind of, develop my sales skills as a setter, DM setter, phone
Hmm.
setter, triager, a little bit of closing as well. Did like
Hmm.
a stint of that for a good amount of time. And I'm obviously leading teams for the last 13 months. So
And
it's
what led you to actually to sales?
to sales. What it was Dan Lock's videos that led me
Oh,
to
the videos basically from Dunlop, yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
into sales specifically, but for high ticket, I just saw loads of ads like
Hmm.
everywhere.
Hmm.
JD Daly, there's this guy, he's been my personal mentor. I've reinvested in him twice, and he kind of helped me navigate not just the sales skilled side, but
Hmm.
just how to take advantage of the space through networking, branding, personal branding is what I focused on a hell of a lot. And then offer selection. So I learned a lot of those things from JD, and that's enabled me to stay where I am.
And so before you start watching like or seeing those Dunlop videos, have you been actually like have you already been doing the door-to-doors before or after actually? When
That
you
was before, yeah. Because
before.
when I tried to do network marketing, I learned a lot about like mindset and things like
Hmm.
that. I even went to like a convention in Netherlands once when I was like dead broke. I just maxed out on a credit card and thought I'll go to an event, it will change my life. And it kind of did to a degree. I didn't realize it, not financially, but mindset wise,
So how did you get into like even to that, like going to door to doors?
yeah, so it was actually through, I was just looking for LinkedIn on jobs because I thought I can't be bothered to do this accounting thing anymore. I was
Hmm.
actually an accountant whilst I was doing network marketing for like
Hmm.
6 months. I was an assistant, so it was like really rubbish jobs, terrible like paper shredding and yeah, drafting up invoices and reading data on spreadsheets. And that sent me insane. So I was looking for sales jobs. That was like a commission only door to door role. It positions
Okay.
it in a pretty weird way. But I just knew that I wanted to be around that environment and that buzz. So I just went into an interview in Canterbury, it was close to me.
Hmm.
Just decided to go for it. So after
Hmm.
6 months of doing that job.
Mm, that's awesome because that's not usual, and especially I would say even for European countries like at all, like just go and decided that I'm going to do a sales guy. Like basically this is like lots of people have like those beliefs that, oh my gosh, salespeople, just like stay away from those people because this is like a bad word basically when you say somebody that aren't your
Well,
sales.
that's how I viewed it though. Like I did
Right.
view sales like that. I didn't appreciate it, but I looked at successful people like Dan Locke and these business owners. And then people. The common thing they were saying is you've got to learn sales. You've got to learn to communicate. I'm like, oh, fine, I'll just do it then, sort of thing. Like because I want to be successful, so I have to go through that phase of my life. So that was it,
Have
really.
you have you found the passion in that after when you started doing it?
Yeah, definitely. Like I found that as I was in the door-to-door environments and then in high ticket, like extremely passionate about sales
Hmm.
because sales is one of those things that like you've never truly mastered it. You always have
Hmm.
new levels of learning. But not only that as well, like it's a great way of being able to make money without having to just like have a really high IQ.
Hmm.
I'm not like an intelligent person, but I'm very good on my like empathy, like feeling people's energies,
Hmm.
vibes, and being able to connect with people. It's like it's not an IQ, type written type skill, but
Hmm.
it's just something that I know I've always been curious about people
Do
since a
you
very young
do you
age. So
think it's really important to have those skills to actually like, be good at selling, to like read people, like the psychology and
yeah, always, yeah, psychology, but it's just like being able to be very curious about people, learn about them, be
hmm.
very interested in others as well. Like I was always the weird kid at school that would ask too many questions to people, where they'd be like, "Why are you asking so many questions?" I'm like, I just genuinely just want to understand. It never came from a place of, like from a bad place, but I've always been curious about why people do things even looking at animals, why do animals decide to do things that they do? Like I'm just a very curious person about everything. So it just suits my nature, I think, overall.
Very interesting. Very interesting. What was a moment when when like in your life that made you realize the system wasn't built to make you free?
Um, yeah, quite early on, to be honest. Like I would say, well, some kids they discover it like 13, 14 now because of all the YouTube videos and all that. But I think for me, definitely at the age of like 18, I would say, because I went into like a football academy and I'd speak with a lot of people. I was quite IQ smart and I was wanting to get very good grades and stuff like that. But I just realized coming out of it, the more successful people that, they would always just be really good at managing their energy and mindset and just know how to connect with people as opposed to just being book smart. Like the book smart people I'd find would always suffer, like in school. And just reading obviously so many books like Think and Grow Rich was one of my first ones. I forgot what the other one was from Viktor Frankl.
Hmm. Hmm.
I forgot what Man's Search for Meaning.
Yep,
That's
yep.
the one. That one. That's a very, very good book.
That's a really good one.
Psycho Cybernetics. A lot of those like main mindset books that are like the base level for people that want to improve their mindset. Those books made me realize that like the
What
9 to 5 role is something that's just not doesn't suit us, doesn't serve us at all.
have you been reading books about sales and so on? What is your favorite, if yes?
Yeah, favorite sales book. I mean, I wouldn't even class it as a sales book, but
Hmm.
like, I mean, it kind of is as well. It's not intended for
Yep.
sales, but
Yep.
Psycho Cybernetics for me was
That's a really good one. Yeah.
because it comes from well, a founding father of self-development, and sales is it's mindset and emotions, anyways, right?
Right.
Yeah, like the biggest quote from that book that really stood out to me was when I was actually going through door to door, I was going a bit through a phase, and there was a quote in there that said, like, if you can tie your shoelaces, you can
Hmm.
learn to be a millionaire. And I'm like, what? Like, why? And it makes me realize, like everything is doable. You just need to learn it. You need to grow, evolve. Like, just take the steps, and you'll get there. And it just makes you realize, right, oh, like it's that simple because you can make things very emotional and kind of have limiting beliefs that prevent you from ever even considering a thing like that.
Hmm.
So that was like a huge reframe for me when I
Yeah.
read that.
Yeah. So good. What was going through your mind in that moment when you realized that the path where you been sold from, probably young age that, corporate job is the path to go, and you can see that lots of people are having those same beliefs. Um, like, yeah, what was going through your mind when you realized that that's not the correct one?
Yeah, I mean, like I wouldn't even say that it's not the correct one, but like for
Mm.
me and my tendencies and the way that I work, I just realized that it's not the path for me.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I initially had that mindset of like, oh, being an entrepreneur is the way, being 9 to 5, doing 9 to 5 is stupid, don't study, it's a scam. Like I really was like dead set on that mindset. But then as I matured and I learned, I realized that it is built for like it depends on who you are and what you actually want. So
Yeah.
like I'm a lot more understanding and I actually respect a lot of people that are in their 9 to 5 because
Hmm.
they know how to live and like enjoy and don't make their work their identity. I think with entrepreneurs, we can so really make our like who we are based on what we do and
Hmm.
what we
Hmm.
have. And I realized that it comes from a lot of insecurity, quite
Hmm.
honestly. So I noticed that I had a lot of that and still deal with that now, as an entrepreneur. I think that's
Hmm.
why we are entrepreneurs because
Yeah.
we're just wired so differently and we're driven by insecurity
Yeah. Yeah.
oftentimes.
Very, very similar to that. Yeah.
But
So
yeah, obviously, I've now I've come off the path, but what made me realize, that entrepreneurship was the path was obviously the way I work, my curiosity, and I realized I wasn't going to make it in the 9 to 5 world just because I didn't have that. Like, I didn't want to be around people that just kind of were just coasting, just having that
hmm.
simple life at that stage. Like,
Hmm.
I might value that later on, but right now I don't value that as
Hmm.
much.
Hmm.
Right. So that made me realize at that point, I just wanted to grow and learn and be around people that just wanted to go somewhere.
Hmm. Did that moment change how you see the world or how you see yourself?
More so it was the world at the time. Like I would always look at my parents and my family and I'd be like, oh, but you guys should be doing this. You should be running the business. I'd always try and impart everything that I knew onto them, like, tell them about my books that I was reading and why they shouldn't be doing it. Like I was very, I think I was very judgmental back then. Actually, that
Hmm.
was when I was 18, 19, but I was just more lost. It's
Hmm.
something now in I suppose my early to mid 20s is where I've been sort of discovering the fact that it's like, you live life by design. It's really how you want to live it ultimately. And it's now like realizing more about myself. It comes from, like I was saying, a place of insecurity and of trying to prove something and have some level of significance from other things rather than just me, right?
Yeah.
So those more external to start with, and then more internal as I've developed, I'd say.
Do you have actually a girlfriend?
I've got a wife. Yeah, I've been
Do you have a
married
wife? Okay.
nearly 3 years.
How it was for you, the process like you've been already together when you've been in the entrepreneurship, like in the entrepreneurship
Yeah,
stage, right?
yeah.
So, and is she entrepreneurship like person like in entrepreneurship also, or is she like working normally in a corporate job?
Yeah, so she doesn't work. So my
Oh,
wife's she's not been working for the last 2 years.
okay.
That's she enjoys it, but also she likes to have her own hobbies, do her own things, and that's like for me as a man, I really always I value a traditional relationship, but
Hmm.
I also realize that a woman can't just they can't always just be bored at home and they want to do some of their own things. So that's kind of how we like to do things. But
Yeah.
yeah, like she knew me when I was just starting door to door, and that was really at the beginning of my journey. So she's seen
Hmm.
me go from at the start to obviously where I'm
Hmm.
at now. And as much as I feel like I've always got so much further to go, there's been a lot of changes. And I think being around a woman that supports you and your journey and actually knows where you're going, sees the potential and believes in you,
Yeah.
and helps you, overcome your own doubts and gives you that faith is the most powerful thing. Choosing the right woman to be with and have as your partner is more important than most things. I would say most people think it's the vehicle, the business model, and yes, those things are important, but choosing the right woman that supports you and helps you grow, that's more powerful than being single, I find, and being an entrepreneur.
Totally.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's yeah, for me, that was probably one of the best decisions that I made in my entrepreneurship journey was marrying my wife, right? Like
Amazing.
I make that a business decision as well as a personal decision,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Amazing. Um, when you were younger, what was the script you were taught about money or success?
That you have to really hustle for it and work very, very hard for money.
How did it change it
Um,
for you? Yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
how have I changed it, did you
Yeah.
ask?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So well, I'm working on it right now. It's been a work in progress for the last probably 3 to 5 years, is changing that script. And like I always flip between like realizing I can attract it versus I need to go and chase it.
Yeah. Hmm.
My recent coach I've been working with, Pete, will always say that when you chase money, it's like something that you're going after that's running away from you. Think of like a lion and a gazelle. It will catch it once it really aggressively goes towards something that will run away. And in that point, money can't really come to you. But like, and on the other end, he made me realize that the difference between the masculine and feminine energies,
Hmm.
like managing money is masculine because you're looking after it, you're taking care of it, making sure it's working for itself and it's doing the right things. But attracting money is actually feminine, right? You're
Hmm.
letting it come to you, you're receiving it, like you're like attracting is a very feminine thing. And so it made me realize that I was just trying to chase something that wasn't really coming to me. I just need to
Hmm.
let it come to me.
Hmm.
So that
Can
was a
can
huge
you
reason.
go more deep into that? How did you actually do it? Like how you changed the way you operate with money, probably even?
Yeah, so I mean that was something that I've discovered like literally in the last month, but even beforehand,
Hmm.
it made me realize I was making money sometimes also too emotional. So how I thought through it is just kind of like reverse engineer everything and making me realize that as I think I'm more on the outside of something and don't get too into the nitty gritty and hustle and work hard, spinning my wheels without looking at strategy, that was going to be what cost me a lot more.
Hmm.
It's just being inside the minutia. So what's really important is you kind of need to look at that what the amount is that you want to make, what is the hourly rate that you need
Hmm.
to have to hit that goal based on what your ideal hourly kind of figure is. And then from there, you'll find exactly what you're looking for and you realize what vehicles to go into. It's often about making better decisions rather than just like working hard, which is what everybody talks about. Just work hard, just work hard, but they don't talk about the other context, right? So I just realized I focused really heavily on good vehicle, like good offer, right environment, and just doing the efforts needed to get to that point. And it was simple as that. Like money doesn't need to be that emotional. It's actually that simple. And then you'll start attracting more of the things that you want because you focus on the right things.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. What belief uh did you have to unlearn to build the life you have now?
Um, Yeah, I think that that, like the biggest thing that well, having to unlearn it once again, it's a constant process for me in my 20s is just like I'm not enough was a big thing that I always said to myself. I'm not enough, I'm not good enough, I'm not ready yet. I said that a lot, throughout my sales career. There's a lot of people saying you should have started your own thing sooner, and I didn't. Didn't believe I was worthy of the money. I thought there was this like kind of a
Hmm.
neuro-emotional thing that was meant for certain people, but maybe not for me.
Hmm.
I sometimes blame the fact that my upbringing was the reason that I couldn't make the money and I just didn't take responsibility, like on a mental level. So that was the main things that I had to unlearn was just realizing that it is up to me. I can do it. I was smarter than a lot of people that were making that kind of money.
Hmm.
But if anything, I was too smart. I was holding myself back because I was just in my head, right? So, but you are enough. Like what you have is, and a lot of the ideas of being maybe even a multi-millionaire. I'm not at that point yet, nowhere near. But it's all inside you, right? You just got to find it and be open to it,
Yeah,
most importantly, and then you'll start to find more of it, I suppose.
yeah, yeah. That's awesome. Um, when you were in the school, have you been have they taught you something about money or not at all?
I mean, it's not like I mean, in not in a direct way,
Hmm.
but it's also the route was always that I mean, you're very much encouraged to go to university, and that will often be a dictator of the school success. Like if you
Hmm.
go to university, then that makes the school look good. So they're incentivized to put you in
Hmm.
university.
Hmm.
And then when you go to university, you graduate, you get an amazing, let's say you get a first or a second degree. Then you can obviously go into like a really nice job. It's, a progressive path from like 30K a year to 60K to 100K. And if you do that 100K, it's like, wow, that's when everything changes, right? It's when everything gets better. But then you get taxed 40% or 45% here in the
Hmm.
UK, and then you don't really have as much of a life. So it just made me realize it's just one of those places where I was always taught that kind of path. And the idea of having your own business or doing something online, it's like, it's not even a consideration. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
You
yeah.
only go for things that you know are around your vicinity. You don't go for
Hmm.
things you don't even know
Yeah,
about.
yeah, yeah. What was your thoughts on students' loans? Because you did you take student loan? No, probably you
No,
didn't.
I never went
You
to
didn't.
uni. I was only going to go, but that was based on what other people wanted. I didn't know for myself, so I said, screw it, I'm not going. And yeah, I don't agree with it. I think it's not great. Not only that, I mean, because it's weird because the government will happily, easily loan you so much money to study something that literally, I'd say what 80% of people don't even end up doing eventually. But when it comes to starting something like a business or getting funding for that, they're very stringent, very tight. We're not willing to give you it. Plus, the government charge so much interest that they make a lot of money themselves from giving people loans. So it's at the end of the day, I realized that everything is a business, and like the personal intentions is really what you have to look out for.
Mhm.
Oftentimes, people, I
Mhm.
think the government and the system in the West, they've made it look so seamless in making it feel like you've got the most support. This is the way. Like they've done an amazing job of selling the idea of this part for the last 100 years. But I mean, I notice people are waking up now and they're just not willing to go down this path as much now.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah. It's so true and so powerful. Either you're going to uh sell or you're gonna be sold, basically. That's pretty
yeah,
much,
every single time. Yeah,
yeah,
that's
yeah,
it. Especially
yeah,
in the UK.
yeah, yeah. What do you believe now that you never would believe 5 years ago?
What do I believe now that I wouldn't have 5 years ago?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that like you can be successful and like make a lot of money working less than somebody who's working hard. That was a big thing. I always found that, it was always for me the hardest worker is the one that gets paid the most.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
But it's really not that, to be honest. The person who has the best systems and leverage is the
yeah,
person that's going
yeah.
to obviously make the most, right? So
Mm. And what had to break or shift for you to adopt that belief?
yeah, I think just personal mentors that I've worked with, examples, being directly challenged and called out on my beliefs. That's been probably
Mm-hmm.
the biggest thing over the last 5 years. And it's been like I've been called out from multiple people. So I've had to have multiple reminders to kind of help me truly realize it. But you often find that from experience, that's when you get your biggest lessons. Like having mentors is important, but sometimes you just need to go through the actual shit itself for you to realize that, well, actually that's not true what I believed before.
Yeah, yeah.
So there's an element of like experience that I've had as well as just learning from some great people that have kind of got the things that I'm looking for.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, totally. What value do you think that belief protects or honors in your life?
Say that again one more time. So what does that
What
believe?
value do you think that belief protects or honor in your life?
It protects my sanity,
Right.
and I'll keep it simple still. Is like life it isn't for me it isn't just about obsession and
Mm-hmm.
working towards one thing. It's important to have to be curious, interested, and committed to the things you're doing.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think obsession always leaves gaps in other areas of your life, and for me I'm wanting to fill as many of the cups in my life as possible.
Mm,
Otherwise obsession in one path you drop from others, right? So for me, it's making sure that I'm aligned with my faith, my
mhm.
relationships, social, health, those things. If those things are not being worked on, and I'm all in on just the business side, it's like, what sort of a
Yeah,
life is that? That's not
yeah,
what I'm working so hard for.
yeah.
I don't live to work. I work to live.
Right. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, there has to be balance for sure. Like people, especially in at the beginning stages, people just jumping into business without even knowing what to exactly do, and then they are hustling, hustling, hustling because like there is so much information out there that
Yeah.
they don't even like most of the people they are not giving them the path like straightforward to actually um what they should do. I would say, or in my opinion and in my experience, that was because, for example, 5 years of mine at the beginning, I've been just like collecting all the information, like it was huge, and then that led me to burn out actually, and then
Right.
I had to complete. Once I joined, like once I invested into like a business coach, from there everything started to fit in like together. And from there, I've been able to actually go and streamline the process and start focusing on the right things that actually move the needle in my like in my favor, right? Um, what part of your journey felt the most uncomfortable um, to share publicly, but needed to be shared anyway?
Um, yeah, so most uncomfortable part of my journey was definitely going from like I was in the high ticket space as a business owner, but going from like a sales rep to more of like a business owner sort of
Mm-hmm.
mindset.
Mm-hmm.
It's been very uncomfortable for me because I'm obviously responsible for a lot more. I have to market, I have to do operations, I have to have, well, I've got an assistant now. So it's like I'm actually building something. So that's been really hard to break through. Like I actually value working for someone who's got all of those things sorted, and I just focus on my role. That's very much how I've worked for a long time. So that's been huge. Obviously, I've been working with a mentor one-to-one for a while. That's helped me
Right.
massively think through that and think more entrepreneurially. So that's been the hardest thing. Publicly, I mean, what have I said much about it? I haven't really spoken on it too much, just kind of sharing marketing materials to bring in clients, right? But other than that, um, yeah, I haven't shared too much on it, to be honest, I would
No,
say.
right. Awesome. What is something most people misunderstand about you?
Um, what do they misunderstand? Well, online, I'm quite a neutral guy, generally.
Right.
I do
You,
have very strong
yeah,
opinions, to
yeah,
be honest. I mean, the fact that people that they might look at me and go like, You're someone maybe that doesn't have like a faith, for example. Like you look at me, it's very obvious to see that I don't look like a Muslim, right? But
right.
I'm actually very, I feel very strongly about my beliefs as a
Mm-hmm.
Muslim. So
Mm-hmm.
that part, when people look at me for the first time, they probably don't realize it or don't even comprehend it. So what do they, I don't really feel misunderstood,
Mm-hmm.
at all, to be honest. Like it's a hard one. But I feel like people don't realize or don't expect that I'm somebody who's very religious and into my faith. So
Yeah.
that's what I say.
How did you get into actually being a Muslim? That's really interesting, actually, to me also.
Yeah, so my wife, who I've been with for nearly 4 years now, she's a Muslim. She's from Bangladesh. Obviously, it's very normal to grow up being a Muslim there. And I was in a place where we met, in the door-to-door environment. I was attracted to her. I wanted to pursue her, but she said, "Well, you have to be a Muslim to be with me." And I'm like, "Okay, well, I'm not just going to change my whole beliefs, my outlook, my religion because of a girl. I think that's a bit silly, to be honest." So.
Right.
I went on a deep dive. I was in Nottingham at the time. I spoke to different imams. I watched so many different videos, different resources. I looked across different religions, kind of just understanding their viewpoints. And Islam just it made the most sense to me.
Mm,
Just
right.
answering more questions, and I felt after a 7 week kind of stint of research, I felt very called to it. I mean, to be a Muslim, all you need to believe is that there's only one God. And the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, is the last messenger out of all of the other previous prophets and messengers. So I just thought, well, I mean, yeah, I mean, I do believe that based on my research, it makes sense. And I
Mhm.
still learn more about it today, but that's how I came about it. And I've been a practicing Muslim for, yeah, it's been over 4 years now, but 4 years as of this month, weirdly
Right.
enough. So.
So you wouldn't be able to marry her because she's a Muslim. So and you've been Christian.
Well, yeah, I mean, so I know on the man side, so they can be either Jewish, Christian, or
Okay.
Muslim because
Hmm.
they're still members of the book. But for the man side, it's a little bit different. I think with the women that you marry, it's got to be mainly Muslim. So yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. So how did that actually like become your path to the success, basically? How did that came up?
I attribute a lot of my life because of Islam, and I think that comes from it's being part of Islam is obviously I'm a very curious person, so I'm always asking myself questions like all the time,
Yeah.
left, right, and center. So I think for me, my God consciousness has massively improved. Like I'm starting, and obviously this is a constant work on I sometimes need to improve upon, but I'm more aware of God every single day. I'm praying 5 times a day. I'm always asking questions. I'm always asking for guidance, for forgiveness, for sins, things that I
Mm,
think through that are not right. Like every single day, I think about God multiple times a day, like so much. And I think that because of my closeness with God, it's like what they say. If you take even 1 or 2 steps towards God, he'll take 7, 8, 9, 10 steps towards you,
mhm,
right? So
mhm,
I think my level of God consciousness has allowed me to attract good experiences, also
mm,
avoid bad
mhm,
decisions, make progress in my life. I think some of the most successful people out there are so God conscious and they rely
mhm,
on God so much. Or, sometimes it's a universal source, whatever that might be, but overall it is God, right? It's the primary source of everything.
yeah.
So yeah, I would put it down to just the fact that
Have you been always religion? Like that way, I mean.
no. Like before Islam, I thought that God was just a coping mechanism to deal with a difficult life. That's how I believed God was. I
Yeah,
thought it was
yeah.
this made up thing. But I always thought, well, science has created everything. But science is a man-made concept that we've thought of that's actually very limited.
Right.
Because the more that we discover, the more that we have to discover. And
Right.
that goes to show that us as human beings are limited. We don't
Mhm,
like we're not as much as we think we are. And that's also another problem with this space is everybody believes that they are goddesses or manifestors. It's like it's nothing to do with you. You are facilitated, right? You're
mhm,
just, you're working through the facilitator of everything that gives us what we have
mhm,
because we're powerless to so much. So, well, there you go. If people misunderstand that, that might be something, I suppose. I do have very strong beliefs and very strong opinions on things, but I just think there's so much that comes from being very conscious of God.
mhm,
That's the
mhm.
summary.
Yeah, yeah. So good. Um, if someone watched your life without hearing your words, what would they say you value most?
So if someone was to live my life, what would they say that I value the
No, no.
most?
If someone watched your life
Okay.
without hearing your words, what would they say you value the most?
Um, yeah, I would say that doing right by God's orders and not God's commands,
Mm-hmm.
I would say that's what they say that I value the most.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there's another part of that where I've been battling with, yes, I want to be as close to God and God's my priority, but at the same time, I've realized that I've been a slave to money and business for a long time as well. And so that's the big thing that I'm now starting to come more away from and be like, well, it's God first, then it's family, then it's money. That's the order that I'm always trying to create, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
I would say based on my intentions, it's all about, being as close to God as possible. That's what I value the most.
Mm-hmm. So if they would see that, do you think they would get it right? Is it real thing for you?
Yeah, I think so. Like I think if they let's say on the business side, obviously I would have to correct them, but then it would also make me think, well, how can I better prioritize God in my life, and do some of the things that I've been ordered to do from what I've been reading, right? So that's yeah, it's once again something that somebody could say is more like I'm prioritizing money and business. That's actually something I need to lean out more from to prioritize.
What value you build your life or business around, even if it costs you money, status, or approval?
Yes, I would say massively is I never want to bring on clients that, for one, are more difficult or in industries that I do not support.
Hmm.
Right? I've seen lots of companies that are like, betting companies or
Hmm.
OnlyFans marketing agencies, stuff like that. I don't support that stuff. I really don't,
Oh,
don't agree with it. It doesn't agree with me.
exactly. Oh my
So
gosh.
like anybody that offers me, like, don't get me wrong, I could make a good amount of money.
Yeah.
But if you make money your slave and your desires, then you live a very like chaotic life. Regardless of how good these people's lives look on social media, I guarantee you internally it's absolute chaos. And they've anything that takes me away from my soul. I don't. I mean, you can offer me $1 million. I'd rather not take it, to be honest. So
Yeah. Yeah.
those things I'd say.
Yeah. Is there something what actually like drives you in in that vision where you are heading?
Yeah, I think it does. Doing the right thing and standing by the right thing is very important for me. Like
Mhm.
if I see stuff in the online space, and you see there's loads of crap that happens, right? Like if I see any of that stuff, I obviously I'm one of the main people that's always going to be making sure that I first of all I stay away from it, I stay clear from it, I remove it from all of my feed. I'm not someone that's always public about outing people. I will always, if I have an issue with someone, I tell them in private. I don't like outing people publicly. I think it's important that you do it privately just to see how they respond. But if it has to be public, then it's because somebody keeps doing the thing and people need to give coverage on it. Right. So for me, like I just focus on in my life, as long as I do good by someone, it comes from the right place and I've given them as much as I can, then there's nothing more I can do. Right. And as long as I don't guarantee results or overpromise,
Hmm.
I just do what I've said that I'm going to do. If people are not happy with that, then look, as long as I know I've done it ethically, that's the main thing for me.
Yeah, yeah. What would be one thing you would say to somebody who is trying to go similar path as yours, where they should start with, what they should start with?
Yeah, I think definitely just pay attention to their environment is definitely the first thing. That's the main, as far as making changes, it's hard to like, invest into a mentor, into a program. Let's say if you're not starting with much money and things like that, but just look at where your environment is, like what's in your closest space. How can you optimize your environment? And what can you do to solve a small problem for somebody who is valuable, right? Like valuable people, people that are like financially successful. And most importantly, they have a good character. Like, do not confuse money with success. Like, if they have a great character and a good people and they are financially successful, go after them in a good way, I mean. Solve a problem for those guys because they have more problems than a lot of people. The more successful you are, the more problems you have to solve, right? So even if that means that you can help them with people that you know that can solve a problem that they have, right? Or if they have specific things they don't know how to do that you know how to do. Like there's always a way to solve problems for people, even if it means that you don't have the ability. Like you may know others that do and can leverage resources or other things out there that can help solve those things too. So I would always do that, and that gets you into the door and into the networks of those types of people. But not only that, like all that being considered, focus on what the truth is. For me, I fundamentally believe that there are truths to what this life is about, where we're going, where we came from, and why we're
Mm-hmm.
here. Those
Hmm.
are the main questions that, like, forget everything else, the business of success. Just figure out those things, where we're going, where we came from, why we are here. If you get you want to get the answer to those three questions, because
Hmm.
if you do, you will get peace and fulfillment from your life, no matter how hard things will get.
Hmm.
And that's what's obviously led me to Islam. But I'm always asking questions. I'm always curious. Like, as human beings, we'll never get 100% of the knowledge because there's things we can't even comprehend. So prioritize truth, finding the truth, doing what's required by the truth, and being around people that follow kind of a similar thing. Like they're always truth seekers,
Hmm.
right? That's what I look for.
If you could break sales into like simple sentence, what that would be, or simple explanation, what that would be.
For sales.
Hmm.
I think it's communication through a transfer of energy.
Hmm.
Like if I put it into a sentence, I'm not going to say anything more, but I would say it's that communication through a transfer of energy.
Right.
And that can obviously bleed into a lot of things. So yeah.
Or how would you explain how, like, what is actually sales about? I mean, like, how to make sales feel like without being pushy and these type of things, because that's the beliefs that lots of people are
Mm,
believing in. So how would you like explain in a really short and simple way
yeah.
what sales is actually, and how you could use some I'm not going to strategies or so, just yeah, anything about how would you explain that to them.
Yeah. So I would say, as far as sales, what you're there to do is you're influencing somebody to do something that is in their best interests,
Mm.
not
Mhm.
yours.
Mhm.
That's what I would say. So I always, no matter who I speak to, if I'm selling to them, I'm doing it because first of all, they want it.
Mhm.
They want the advice, right? I
Mhm.
don't impart on to people that don't want anything. I don't want to work with people that don't want it. That's fine. That's good on them as well. So I want to direct them in a place that's best for them, even if it doesn't benefit me.
Mhm.
So like that's what I think sales is ultimately. Like you send them to the best possible resource. If it is your company and what you solve and serve for, then do absolutely everything that you can for that person without going over boundaries. But if it's something that's like ultimately it's not working with you is not a good idea, then point them to the best possible place that
Mhm.
will get them the results they're looking for. And ultimately, if you serve people with absolutely no expectation of receiving anything, then that's how life starts to become a lot more valuable for you because you're giving to people, and what you're telling God is you trust that you're going to be served in another way, in a different form of. sustenance, right? So that's it, just serving people with no expectations and doing what's best for them.
And how big of a role psychology plays in sales?
Um, I'd say it's a big role. Um, yeah, it's a multitude of things, right? Like it's hard to pinpoint sales as like one thing or a couple of things, but psychology is important.
Yeah. Would you start learning if it would be, at the beginning, would you, or somebody who's on the beginning, would you advise them to learn human psychology and how human works to actually understand how to communicate with them?
I would actually say, I'd say the opposite. I would say rather than study psychology, start making decisions in different areas of your life when you're buying stuff and actually observe the way that you are behaving as a human being anyways. Just be observant.
Mm,
Like Jerry Acuff wrote a book called Think Like a Buyer,
mhm,
and I read some certain excerpts from that, and he talks a lot about just put yourself in the buyer's shoes.
mhm.
When you get this form of communication from a salesperson versus this form of communication, how does it make you feel? Does it make you feel receptive? Do you end up actually conversing, giving them more time, or do you shut them off? Does it shut you off? Do you end up becoming closed off or more open-minded? Like it's just being what Andrew Tate would say is perspicacious, right? Like you're being more observant of buyer behaviors and what makes things work versus doesn't work. So just be an observer of the way you make decisions when you're coming into buying stuff or you're approaching salespeople or being spoken to by them.
Right.
That'd
And
be
how would you, last couple of questions, how would you explain, as a salesperson, how would you explain that people have to be feeling as buying?
how do buyers have to feel to buy?
Yeah, like how they, because people, for example, I studied lots like Myron Golden, for example, and so on. So he is always saying that people have to feel like buying, like they have
Yes.
to be in the feeling of buying. So how would you explain that and how you would get people into that position?
Well, I want to position myself as the person they ultimately trust to help make decisions first. If they believe, right, Taylor will guide me to make the best decision, then
Hmm.
I know that I have that authority to be able to guide them.
Hmm.
The building of that trust is then the hardest part.
Right.
What I realize with myself is people generally have a good vibe with me because I've got no ill intention or personal agenda that suits me. Like my personal agenda is you and what you want, whether that serves me or it doesn't. And so if you have that at the forefront, like that's how you have people trusting you and they will have the feeling of buying from
Hmm.
you.
Hmm.
Even if you can't help them and you don't want to, they might just even want to pay for time with you,
Hmm.
right? Like I even, I've hosted my retreat recently, and in February there was about two or three people there that, to be honest, probably didn't get much value from the retreat, right? But they just bought the tickets because they wanted to be around me and have, and have good chats and be around the environment that I created, right?
Oh,
And
good.
even though, like, I got the ticket sold, they, even when I was saying, look, I don't know if it's going to be for you because, you're trying to learn this versus that, they were trying to sell to me what they were going to get value from. And the fact that being around me and being in these environments would help them with X, Y, and Z. Like they would sell to me why they should buy it.
Mm,
Right. And so,
yeah,
like, check your intentions, check how you're building trust, and put the other person first, and everything else works itself out.
so
I
good. Thanks for sharing that with honesty, and you know, it's just thank you for being here. Um,
Thank you, man. Thank you for having me.
when one last question I have for you. If that would be your last interview would you ever done, what would be the message that would you love to leave behind you?
Yep. I think for anybody that's watching this, just focus on finding the truth. Um, yeah, be very curious and aim to find the truth. That's it.
Awesome. Where people can find you and to support you, connect with you.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, I've got Facebook, so just Taylor O'Hare, just search me on there. I've maxed out my friends list currently, so I'd recommend just following me, and then I might, if you seem pretty cool in your profile, I might delete a few friends and add you back. So there's that. My Instagram, luckily, I don't have a limit on that, so just search "Make Setters Great Again." That's kind of like what I do. I try and help setting departments and stuff like that. So just follow that profile, and then YouTube, just Taylor O'Hare. I've got like 130 videos around appointment setting and managing teams a little bit as well. So just feel free to follow me on there. Just watch a few videos, see if you think I'm talking absolute crap or not. It's up to you. But yeah, that's it. Just those three places is where you can find me. Or
Cool.
LinkedIn. I'm not too big on LinkedIn, but those three are the main ones.
Appreciate you do it. So awesome to have you here. And for everybody who's listening, if this there's something in you, don't ignore it. Share it with someone who needs it. Subscribe, leave a review, and remember, you weren't born to follow the script. You weren't born to be free. Bye, everybody.
See you later, everyone.